365 and I'm feeling alive. Hi everyone, I'm Jacob. I'm the CowHatLibrarian, and this was a fun one I found on the news shelf of the picture book section of my local public library. And it is 365 How to Count a Year by the talented duo of Miranda and Julien Chung. As the book starts, the narrator establishes the basic fact that it takes 365 days to make a year, 365 days for the Earth to go around the sun. And starts breaking down what that looks like, that there's 365 good nights, and importantly, 365 clean pairs of underwear. But that 365 can be hard to count, so maybe you should think of things in 52 weeks instead, like 52 Friday night popcorn spills. And 52 seems kind of loud, so what if you think about it in terms of 12 months? That's 12 monthly clean the fish tank messes. But if you group them up again, it's just 1 year, one birthday celebration. And it'll take so long to wait for that next birthday because it's almost 9,000 hours, which is over 500,000 minutes, which is over 31 million seconds. But you can group all those things back up again. And that countdown just becomes 1 year. And it ends with this marvelous, marvelous question. How will you count your year? And the book ends there. I picked this up on a whim. I hadn't read any reviews. I didn't even look at it in great detail at the library because I was talking with a former coworker there and keeping an eye on what my daughter was up to. And I didn't really know what to expect of this. I thought it would be a few basic math things, you know, sort of a, what is a year? It is 365 days, which can be blah, blah, blah. And it was so, so much more. Now it is told in a very, very matter-of-fact way. In fact, I had to double check when I was bringing this book down to record that it wasn't shelved in the easy nonfiction section. This one is really, really borderline. It could easily be put in that section with the information books about date and time and so on. But there's enough style there, enough narration, enough fun that I think the library made the right choice putting it in with just the standard picture books, with the other fiction. With that said though, there is a great section at the back that talks a bit about what a calendar is and ways of counting your year, but then breaks it down into really, really fun numbers that represent a year, like 3,600 hours of sleep time, 250 hours of bathroom time, 47 million heartbeats. And it was really, really neat to see the things that add up to make a year. And the breakdown was really, really cool. My kids are into math. They like thinking about numbers. And they liked how it was broken down. They really liked how big the numbers got when we started looking at how many hours were in a year and how many minutes and how many seconds. And it kind of blew their minds. And that was a lot of fun. And some of the examples for things that you could do every day to make up a year, that you could have 365 flavors of the day with a nice little note about leap years in there. And the underwear thing made us all laugh. Now, I already like books about underwear because it's a funny topic. Things like Bear Do You Wear Underwear by Todd Doodler is a lot of fun. And so this page cracked me right up. It cracked my kids up. We thought it was great. And as an added bonus, this is the funniest picture in the whole book, and the funniest of any of the picture books I'm recording videos for tonight. The lion flexing and posing while he's wearing a pair of green polka dotted briefs is the funniest thing I've seen in a while. We laughed. It's so great. He's so proud. He looks like he's pretending to be a pro wrestler. flexing and posing for the crowd, and it's just hilarious. And that gets into the art style for this book, which was fantastic. It was great. It had style to spare. The colors are nice and clean, and some of the pictures are on the simpler side of things. You know, the boy has messy hair, but he's just 2 dots and a quick curve for his nose and his mouth, and very, very simple, not a lot of colors or shading there. But then there's some nifty effects, like the sort of almost abstract-y clothes going in the washing machine behind the lion, or the different patterns on the scoops of ice cream that he's serving, or just the small little things like the boy's mouth unhinging to eat the popcorn and all the little kernels, all different shapes all over the floor, and ending with that ending. And this is what elevated this book. If you hadn't had this ending, it would have been just fine. It would have been good, it would have been solid, it would have been a great way to talk about ways to count time and think about what a year represents in terms of the life you lived. But summing it up like this, it all comes back together to one marvelous collage of 1 year in the life of you. How will you count your year? And with all these swirls of color and all the things from the book, including the underwear, which my kids and I were happy to note, but all of it, and the only part missing from it is you. What are you going to do with your year? How are you going to measure your year? What is your year going to be made up out of? It was positive and hopeful and heartfelt, and it hit me a little bit hard, which is kind of silly, because it's just a book talking about what a year is. But it got me thinking about, like, my kids are growing up. And, you know, a year doesn't mean that much to my wife or me, maybe at this point. But the difference in what and who they are now compared to a year ago, or what they will be a year from now, that year worth of experiences, all the hugs, all the school lunches, all the times that maybe we didn't get along but we make up, the cards we make for each other, all that adds up into a year that you could count, and that's the way you could measure it and what that year was like in your life. And I didn't expect it, but the end of the book hit me hard because of that. So if you're reading this with an audience, just be aware that if you've got kids of your own that you're seeing grow up all too fast, if you're reading this to a group of school kids who's just about to graduate from your class for the year and leave for another room, if you're reading it to a storytime group that has older kids in it who've been with you for a few years and will be heading off to kindergarten and won't become to storytime anymore, just keep an eye out when you're reading this, and just be a little bit careful that you don't start sniffling while you're doing it, because I just about did. I really, really recommend this. I liked it a lot. What I think would be interesting is pairing this with something else that talks about time, but in a completely non-factual way. Maybe something like Wake Me Up in 20 Coconuts, which I have a video about on this channel. And the way that it talked about time in a completely nonsensical way and focused on feelings about not understanding that interval of time. I think the two of them would make a dynamic duo in any story time. So yeah, go borrow this from your public library and read it. Read it with some people who matter to you, and maybe it'll hit you the way it hit me. And if you use and appreciate the services offered by your public library, why not take just 1 minute and tell the powers that be exactly that. Tell your mayor, tell your council member, tell your MP or MLA that you use and appreciate the services offered by your public library. We're at a time where some libraries are having trouble finding sustainable funding to continue improving the materials, programs, and services they offer, and a few good words in the right ears might make a world of difference. If by some chance you're a library staff member, don't forget, watching my videos counts as professional development time. With that, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to me get quiet and thoughtful and a little bit wistful while I was talking about this one. By all means, please like, please subscribe, and please check back to see what else I have to talk about from the CowHat Library. Thank you. Bye now.